Have you been dreaming about sitting down at the poker table and winning that next Drawmaha hand you play? Well, if you have, you've come to the right place, because on today's video, I'm going to show you how to win the big Drawmaha pots. Welcome back to You're the Wager. I'm Two Commas, and today we're going to be talking about Drawmaha. It's a very popular game in the mix that I think popped up maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but everyone's playing it now. And if you're going to be playing the mixed games, you're going to need to know how to play it too. So we're going to get into the details. But before we do, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's very important and helps the channel out. And also, again, remember, I'm having a mixed game meetup in Las Vegas on December 6th at Resorts World. So I hope to see you there. I've been helping you all learn how to play mixed games, and I would love to see you all play in person and make another friend or two. So why should you listen to me and learning Drawmaha? A few reasons. 1, I've been playing mixed games for 20 years. 2, I've made a few final tables and tournaments. 3, I've won tens of thousands of dollars playing mixed games. And 4, I used to be the director of poker operations at a major Las Vegas casino, and therefore I know a little bit about the mix. Hopefully that qualifies me to give you a little bit of instruction on how to play Drawmaha. So what is Drawmaha? Drawmaha is a split pot game that is played in the mixed rotation quite often now, especially in Las Vegas. And it is a combination between the best Omaha hand and the best 5-card draw hand. So once upon a time, 5-card draw was the only type of poker that was played. That's what Wild Bill Hickok was playing and other people in movies like Maverick and whatnot. But once No Limit Hold'em took hold, 5-card draw is very hard to find now. But we are lucky because it is now part of Drawmaha. So how is it played? We'll go over the rules first, then we'll go over some starting hands, and then we'll get into a little bit of strategy as well. And hopefully you will be taking down the big Drawmaha pots very soon. So let's go over the basics. First and foremost, it is going to be a combination of a flop and a draw game. So again, it's a split pot game where half the pot is awarded to the best Omaha hand and half the pot is awarded to the best 5-card draw hand. So we're going to play the game like it is a flop game in terms of blinds. So you'll have obviously the button and then the small and big blind. And it is almost always played in limit format in the mixed rotation. So again, if you're going to be playing 816 or 2040 or 8160, no matter what the limit, you're going to be doing bets in the first denomination. So 2040, you're going to be making bets of $20 once you are dealt cards, and then again on the flop. And then once the turn comes and the river, you're going to be doing the big bet streets. So that's going to be that $40 denomination if you're playing 2040. So remember, in any split pot game, and we're going to go over this over and over again in all the poker tutorials, in any split pot game, the object is to scoop the entire pot. You never want to be playing for half the pot, at least not in the beginning. There may be points in the hand where you can stray from that advice, but when you start the hand, your object should be to scoop the entire pot, meaning win both the Omaha side and the 5-card draw side. So the dealer is going to deal you 5 cards, and that's where you're going to have to make your first decision of whether or not you want to play or not. And then once you decide to enter the pot, the dealer will put out the flop, in which another round of betting will take place. And then this is where your next decision must take place, and you're going to decide to exchange cards and draw for some new cards in order to make a either better Omaha hand or a better 5-card draw hand. And then the turn and the river come out, and you would bet those like a normal Omaha game. So that's how it's dealt. Those are the rules. It is limit. It is split pot. It is going to have a flop. It is also going to have a draw, and your object is to win the entire thing. So what should your minimum starting card requirements be in order to play Drawmaha? You must focus on the 5-card draw side of the pot first. That is where you focus. We will worry about the Omaha side later, but you must prioritize having a good 5-card draw hand. And to be quite frank, that means you need to have at least a pair of aces in order to move forward. My personal minimal standard is to have at least 2 pair. It's going to make it a lot easier to win the pot because 2 pair will often hold up against aces after the first draw at least 75% of the time. Obviously, the bigger your 2 pair is, the better, but you need to at least have 2 pair in order to move forward because you will often fill up after your draw. And if you start with just a pair, like aces or kings, that's not necessarily bad, but you're going to be in bad shape against those 2 pair that fill up unless you make a set and they don't fill up. So long story short, start with at least a pair of aces to move forward in Drawmaha, but preferably 2 pair. Now, where's the exception to this? If you are on a straight or a flush draw. And what I mean by that is you need to have at least 4 to the straight and 4 to the flush. If you're going after the straight, you need to be open-ended. So you have 8 outs and not just going for the gut shot. So what do I mean by that? It's a stronger draw to have 10 jack, queen, king, okay, than it is to have ace, king, queen, jack. The reason why is because on the 10 jack, queen, king hand, you can make a 9 to make a straight or an ace to make a straight. But on the ace, king, queen, jack hand, you can only make a 10. So in one hand, you have 8 outs to make your hand. And in the other example, you only have 4 outs or 4 cards that will help you make your hand. So it's always better if you're going for the straight to have an open-ended straight draw. With the flush, it's a little bit better statistics that you're going to hit a flush than a straight once you have all 4 cards. So if you have 4 to the flush, you have more outs than an open-ended straight draw in that particular situation. Now, I've said it in other instructional videos. I've said it in my poker vlog. I'm going to say it again. It is all about position, position, position. You want to have late position at the poker table as close to the button as possible because you're going to get more information and you're going to be able to make better poker decisions. All right. So what do we do after we've decided that we want to enter the pot because we've got at least 2 pair or we're on a straight draw or flush draw or something of the like? What do we want to do? Well, obviously we want to enter the pot for a raise. We always want to come in for a raise because we want to thin out the other players in the hand that could end up making a better hand than us on a draw. So you come into the pot, let's say you have 2 pair already, you have, let's say, jacks and sevens, then you know that you're going to raise coming into the pot. Hopefully you're in position and hopefully the flop is favorable to you. So let's talk about the 2 decision points that you're going to have to make when you play Drawmaha and how to become a winning player. Now, the first decision you had to make, which is extremely critical, is whether or not to play the hand. And I think it's even more critical than in some of the other games because you only have one chance to improve. And so you have to just decide right off the bat if the hand is worthy enough to play. And to be honest, that means you shouldn't be playing that many hands because you need to be particular and picky about the hands you play. Now you've entered the pot. That's the first decision. You've come in for a raise. It's down to you and one other person or maybe 2 other people. What is the next decision you're going to have to make? Well, that's easy. It comes after the flop in which you've seen the 3 cards that are going to be out there and you now have to see, does it match up with your hand? This is where things get tricky, and it is the second major decision you're going to have to make in the hand because oftentimes you're going to hit the flop with one of the 5 cards you're holding and it is going to be at odds for your 5-card draw. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Let's say you start off with deuce, deuce, king, 7, 7. You have 2 pair. It's a good hand to move forward with. And you decide to enter the pot for a raise. And then the flop comes king, 5, jack. Now you're in of a bit of a situation, right? Because you have to make a second decision now because you already have two pair in your hand and you obviously were going to throw the king away to try to make a full house with deuces and sevens. But you got a king, which is the highest card on the flop. And let's say that flop was rainbow. Well, now you've got top pair on the flop. So what do? Well, the answer to that is you keep your king, because it gives you the best chance of scooping the pot. Although someone may get luckier and beat your two pair in your hand, it's doubtful that they're going to beat your two pair in your hand and also beat you on the board if you have top pair on the board right now. So the decision that you had entering the hand to throw away the king to try and get a better 5-card draw hand just went out the window after you saw the flop and you had to make an adjustment. That's what Drawmaha is all about, seeing how you can marry your Omaha hand with your 5-card draw hand. After that second decision is made, then the hand pretty much goes on autopilot from there, because your 5-card draw hand is not going to change at all because you have no more draws, and you are going to play the Omaha hand the way you would play a normal Omaha hand. So let's say the turn and the river come and you make the Omaha hand you were trying to make, then you bet accordingly. If you don't make the Omaha hand you were trying to make, but you did make your 5-card draw hand, then I think you can still bet accordingly. So where it becomes fairly easy to determine what you should do is when you have a 5-card draw for, let's say, a straight or a flush, and you don't hit your draw. So you've got 4 to the spade flush, for example, and the flop comes rainbow, so there's really no opportunity to make a flush on the Omaha side of things as well. But when you made your draw, you missed your flush. So now you have no hand in your 5-card draw hand, and then you can very easily see what the likelihood of making an Omaha hand is that's going to win at the river. If neither one of those looks like a strong possibility, you should be folding after the flop bet. So let's look at some actual hand examples and see how you and I would play those hand examples out. So let's say you are dealt ace, ace, 3, 5, jack. Now, the first thing you have to determine is, are you going to move forward? Based on this video, we said that you could move forward because you have a pair of aces to start. Now, let's say that the flop comes 4, 6, king. What are you going to do at this moment in time? Originally, if the Omaha flop did not come out and you just had ace, ace, 3, 5, jack, you'd be drawing by throwing away your 3, 5, and jack. But now that the flop has come 4, 6, king, you see that you have an open-ended straight draw with the 3, 4, 5, 6. So in my opinion, that means that you're going to be keeping the aces and the 3 and the 5 and just throwing away the jack. Hopefully that makes sense. And because those are the only 2 decision points that you can make when you're dealt cards and then on to make a draw, the rest of your decision points are just about whether or not to continue in the betting, to raise, or what have you. But with a pair of aces, a 3, 5, and then the flop coming 4, 6, king, I think you can only throw away 1 card in order to try to make your hand. Let's look at another example. Let's say you're dealt 8, 9, 10, jack, ace, and the flop comes ace, ace, 5. What do you do then? Well, hopefully it's obvious that you're going to be keeping the ace and you're going to be trying to win the Omaha side of the pot. But that also means you're going to be giving up your 5-card draw side of the pot. So at this point, you're only playing for half the hand. And now you have to be a little bit weary, right? Because yes, you are likely to win the Omaha side with a set of aces. But what if the Omaha board then continues to have a straight out there, or a flush because the ace and the 5 are suited, or if someone else who has an ace ends up making a full house? So you have to proceed rather cautiously when you have no 5-card draw hand other than ace high, and you're only playing for half the pot. That's where Drawmaha gets pretty tricky. And that's why I say it's better to start with 2 pair, because at least your 5-card draw hand has some showdown value. Whereas if you are on a straight or flush draw, if you miss, you have no showdown value in your 5-card draw hand. So you just have to be cautious about that, right? If you miss your draw and 5-card draw, then you're only playing for the Omaha side of the pot, and that starts to get very dangerous. So here is a super tricky hand to try and figure out what you should do. And honestly, this is what makes poker fun. And I don't know, there isn't as many solvers out there for Drawmaha. So, and I don't have a smart computer at home to run a million simulations. But I'm going to walk you through my thinking of how I would play this particular hand and all the things you have to think about when you're playing Drawmaha. So in this particular example, let's say you're dealt the 5 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, and the 9 of clubs. Okay, so that's a pretty good starting hand because you have not only 4 to the flush, but you have 4 to an open-ended straight draw. So I really like this chance. And just going into the pot and into the flop, I would be thinking that I'm going to throw away the 9 of clubs and try to make a flush. That would be what my initial thought is when I'm dealt these cards and I decide to enter the pot. But then the flop comes, and the flop comes the 9 of diamonds, the ace of diamonds, and the 5 of spades. Now we're in some trouble, okay? Because we've got a big decision to make, and it's going to determine if you have a chance of winning some of the pot, none of the pot, or all of the pot. So what are our decisions? The first is we've got 2 pair on the flop, 9s and 5s. So do we have a good chance of winning the Omaha side with 2 pair 9s and 5? That's tricky, right? Yeah, obviously 2 pair in Omaha is pretty good. It's not great, especially when there's an ace out there, because it's very likely someone could already have a pair of aces in their hand and now they've got a set of aces. So that gets a little tricky. Plus, there are 2 diamonds on the flop. So it's also likely that someone could stay with 2 diamonds in their hand and try to make a diamond flush. Now, you've got 4 diamonds in your hand. So the chance that someone else is going to have 2 diamonds in their hand does go down dramatically since you've got 4 of them. But you do have to take that into consideration. So you have to decide now what card you're going to throw away, because as it is, your 5-card draw hand is not going to win anything because all you have is jack high. So what are you going to do now? You have to make a draw, and the question is, which card should you throw away? So let's walk through the pros and cons. So keeping all your cards and staying pat is not an option because you don't have a 5-card draw hand and you don't want to surrender half the pot, in my personal opinion, so that you can try to win with just 2 pair on the Omaha side of things. I love to hear what you think down in the comments, or if you agree, but I don't think you're going to stay pat on this hand. So now the next question becomes, what do you throw away? Well, you could throw away the 9 of clubs and try to make a flush, but I would not advise to do that for a few reasons. The first is that there are 2 diamonds on the flop. So now that means there are 2 less diamonds that you potentially could draw to make your hand, and you don't want to be drawing to a situation where you have less outs. So I would not throw away the 9 of clubs, although that would have been my original choice before I saw the flop. The next option you have is to throw away the 5 of diamonds. Now, what does that mean? That means that you're going to be going for the open-ended straight draw because you have 8, 9, 10 jack, which means you have 8 outs to a straight for your hand. So I think that is a possibility. But what it also means is you're going to be giving up 2 pair in your Omaha hand, right? I think that's a decent trade that I would probably make at the table. Some other people might not. But the reason why I would make that trade is it gives me 8 outs to make the straight in my hand, which would be a very powerful hand at potentially taking down 5-card draw side of things. And also it leaves me with a pair on the Omaha side of things, because I still have a pair of nines. Now, I also still have a flush draw on the Omaha side of the board because I'm still going to be keeping 3 diamonds in my hand if I throw away the 5. And I'd be aiming for a jack high flush, which depending on the cards to come could be the 3rd best possible flush. So you've got a choice between staying pat and just playing for the 2 pair on the Omaha side of things. I think that's a little dicey, especially with an ace out there in Omaha. It's likely that 2 pair is not going to hold up because someone will make a full house or someone will already have a set of especially aces in this case. And so I think it's okay to say that you're going to throw away the 5 of diamonds, try to make the open-ended straight, keep the pair of 9s on the board, and give yourself the best chance of scooping the pot. But it's not a perfect science. It's a little bit more of an art on what is the right way to do it. I'm sure if I had a supercomputer, we could run the simulation 7 trillion times and come up with the perfect answer. But that's what poker is all about, right? I mean, it's not that much fun when it's all solved out for you. It's about making key decisions in certain situations in real time and seeing how those decisions play out. And remember, just because you don't get the result you're looking for, it doesn't mean you made a bad decision, right? You know, if you're a 75% favorite, you're still going to lose 25% of the time. What matters is that you made the decision that gave yourself the best possibility and chance of winning. So those are some examples of Drawmaha hands that are going to come up. Again, the turn and the river are going to kind of play themselves. Just to keep with this particular example that we were using, where you had a 9, ace, 5, on the flop. Let's say the turn was the king of diamonds. Well, then obviously you've got a flush on the board and you're going to keep moving forward in the hand. Let's say you missed your draw when you threw away the 5 of diamonds and you pulled in another card. But let's say that card was, you know, the jack of spades. Well, now you got a pair of jacks in your hand. Not guaranteed to win, but you've got a chance. So it's all about, you know, what continues to come. And if you get to the river on the Omaha side, no diamond came, you didn't make a second pair, and you missed your draw, then it's an easy fold. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated and you've learned how to play Drawmaha and some of the things you're going to have to think about, and your 2 biggest decision points being which hand to play from the very beginning, and then which cards to keep and which cards to throw away after the flop when you have your one and only draw. I think it's interesting, and these are some examples that I've seen on numerous occasions while playing Drawmaha myself. And at the end of the day, what I've learned is that it really matters what you start with. It really does, especially in Drawmaha. So start with a premium and it's going to make your decision-making process that much easier. So that's Drawmaha for you. Split pot game, best Omaha hand, best 5-card draw hand. You're playing with a flop. You've got small blind, big blind. You've got decisions on what to play, what to draw. And hopefully you are always aiming to scoop the pot. I think it's a fun game. I didn't like it so much at first, but it's grown on me a lot in the past. And in some of the upcoming vlogs, you're going to see a lot of Drawmaha hands. You're going to see some scenarios that I played correctly. You're going to see some that I played correctly and still lost. And then you're going to see some that I might not have played correctly. But that's what poker's all about. We just want to have some fun and hopefully win some big pots. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned a lot today. If you did, please do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. And remember, December 6th in Las Vegas at Resorts World, I'm going to be playing a mixed game meetup, and I hope to see you there. And stay tuned for the next instructional video where we're going to be going over some more of your mixed game favorites. Thanks.